Welcome to another episode of New Moon, New Music. This time, we're going to break down into two episodes. Time I spent with three letters, ZBB, the Zac Brown Band. And the basic thing is I worked on an album as producer and a player on some of the tracks and this, that, and the other, co-writer on an album of theirs called Jekyll and Hyde. So let me tell you how this came about. I was in Brobridge, Louisiana, staying at Dirk Powell's house. You remember Dirk Powell from other episodes. And Dirk has a studio and a house in Brobridge. And he was on the road, I think, with Joan Baez at the time. And he just gave me his house and his studio in which to record. So I recorded in like 3 days an album called 10, the songs of Ben Bullington. And I did that whole album in those 3 days over at Dirk's studio. Very simple, very cool studio hangout. And then we also had his house because he was out with Joan. And so thank you very much, Dirk Powell, for that. While we were having breakfast one morning before heading over to the studio, I got a text from my friend Matt Mangano. And Matt used to play with me for years out on the road as my bass player. What a great bass player he is. Just wide open. Musically, he's foundational. He's everything you would possibly want from an electric bass cat. That's him. And so he got the gig with Zac Brown a number of years before this time at Brobridge, Louisiana. And he sent me a text and he said, Daryl, would you put together a choral group, a choir, for a recording that we're doing in December? And this was probably like October or something like that. And I replied back, this is all text. I said, absolutely. And then 5 minutes later, he said, would you do another song? We've got 2 choral songs. Would you do that too? I said, absolutely, yes. Then about 10 minutes later, another text came in and they just said, look, why don't you just come to the sessions and produce some of these things and just be there. We want you to just be there while we record. And it was like, when is it? And it was at a time in December where I could, and it was like, I'm there. So it started with a choral gathering and kind of ended up with me playing on, maybe half-ish the record, producing 4 of the things, and co-writing on a little bit of stuff. Anyway, it was just an all-in thing eventually. So anyway, the very first song we did, a song called Remedy that Zac had written with Keb Mo. And it's a really cool song. And they wanted kind of a choral feel, a choir thing going on in it. So that was the first song that we did in the studio. And in the demo, actually, it wasn't a demo. It's a part that they had in there that was kind of being like fake Irish sounds, uilleann pipes and flutes and stuff like that. And they were fake synthesizer sounds. And it was like, guys, we can't have the fake synthesizer sounds. I know the real deals. I know the Irish and Scottish cats. I'm going to send this to this one guy. And I've sent a few things to him, and his name is Michael McGoldrick. And Mike is just a tremendous player, just a badass is what he is. But he's using Irish instruments to do it. So penny whistle, the uilleann pipes, flute things, and he's just the guy you want. So the Irish thing, we got rid of the synthesizer, and I got Mike McGoldrick to do this. And he did the right thing, as he always does. He just kills it. And then I also did this choir thing. So this choir, I got 2 songs using this choir. And this first song called Remedy, the first thing that we did when I got to the studio, has this choir. I'll tell you a little bit more about them later because they showed up on a second song that I'm going to play for you. So right here is the song called Remedy from the Jekyll and Hyde Zac Brown Band album. And this, you'll hear Mike McGoldrick, and you'll hear the choral thing, and this is what we came up with. Remedy by the ZBB.
I've been looking for a sound that makes my heart sing. Been looking for a melody that makes the church bells ring. Not looking for the fame or the fortune it might bring. In love, in music, in life. Jesus preached the golden rule. Buddha taught it too. Gandhi said eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. With a little understanding, we can break these chains that we've been handed. I got the medication, love is the remedy. Pray to be stronger and wiser. Know you get what you give. Love one another. Amen. 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 I've been thinking about the mark that I'll be leaving. Been looking for a truth I can believe in. I got everything I need. Let this heart be my guide. In love, in music, in life. Not saying I'm a wise man. Heaven knows there's much that I'm still finding. Making my way down this winding road, holding on to what I love. Yeah, and leaving the rest behind. For love, for music, for life. May to be stronger and wiser. Know you get what you give. That we have to treasure. Happiness now, that is the measure. Love is the remedy. Love is the remedy. Everyone can be forgiven. One love and one religion. Open up your heart and listen. Love is the remedy. May to be stronger and wiser, and know you get only what you give.
So there it is with the big choral ending of Remedy, and really cool song, and I was really glad to be a part of it, and I think that choral thing was a nice touch, and I think the having Michael McGoldrick was absolutely a nice touch, the way to go for that. And so that was our first at bat, my first at bat with the ZBB. The week went on, and other things came up, and What I want to play for you now, well, let me tell you who those singers were, because it's going to come up again, because this second track is particularly important about the singers. So hold on with me for that one. But we had Maureen Murphy, and she's sort of Atlanta-based for a while, and now she's in Nashville. We had Sarah Dugas, and Sarah is a Canadian. She used to be in the band called the Ducks. Great singer. John Cowan, I always try to pull in Cow when there's any kind of vocal things that just need John Cowan. I also do the same with Odessa Settles, was another one of my singers. And Odessa brought in, I told her, hey, bring in if somebody, a male singer that you know is the right stuff. And she brought in a guy named Rick Jones. And Rick had a huge range, high, low, and everything, and he was great. And then someone I've used before, and ZBB has used before, a lot of people use him here in town, Jason Eskridge was also singing. So I'll tell you more about that in a little bit, how I got specific with those voices on another song. But right now I want to tell you a little story about a song called Heavy Is the Head. So here's how it came about. Basically, Zach said, hey, we do this song at sound check, and it's just their jam song, and it had no full song lyric or anything like that. It was just a great bass start and just a groove, and it was something they would do at sound checks, and it was cool. And they played me the little pieces that they had of it, which was the main riff you'll hear off the top, and then little bits and pieces of maybe a verse, and I put together kind of the tying chorus, maybe, and there's a bridge in there as well. So basically I took the pieces that they had and then kind of just arranged it into what you will hear. And it was very exciting because these guys basically turned it from something that wasn't even a song. It was just something they jammed to at sound check. And then we turned it into like a full-blown thing that you're going to hear. One more detail about this song, Heavy Is the Head. First of all, it's a complicated tune. It's in some weird timings, which I never figured out whether it was in 7 or 11 at times, or what it was, a 5. I don't know. It was out of the norm for me, but it's the kind of thing you have to feel your way through as opposed to count your way through. To me, those kind of time chart things are, if you're counting, you're probably not playing, you're counting. And so I feel that those time charts, you have to feel your way through them rather than like mathematically get your way through it. Anyway, these guys understood the time chart perfectly well because they'd been playing it in sound checks for a long time. So I was hanging on, with my fingernails, playing probably electric guitar, going down with the full band of the Zac Brown band. And then I came up with a vocal part that was to echo Zach. In essence, Zach would sing through most of the song, the verses and this, and then there would be this voice, and it was me. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. So I tracked with that. I had a mic recording my part and my electric as I was doing it. And it was okay. The idea was certainly there. So let's fast forward now till maybe a week or two later. I go back in, and the guys had been working on this track and others, and they said, we got to play something for you. And so they play Heavy As the Head, and they had got Chris Cornell, the amazing rock singer, the amazing singer, Chris Cornell, to do the part that I had done on the offset, from the get-go. And I was just knocked out. It was like, yes, Chris Cornell, Daryl, you sit down. Chris is in here, and it was killer. It was just amazing. So I'm going to play for you Heavy As the Head with featuring Chris Cornell, the amazing singer Chris Cornell, and this arrangement that that I put together with the guys and helping write it, piece it together, and this is what we came up with. And it was on the rock charts as #1 for 2 weeks, I remember. And then they did it on Saturday Night Live with Chris, and it was just, it's, to me, it's one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. And I'm on electric guitar through some of it. I'm on slide guitar on some of it. And I'm also on, if you listen closely, you hear a vocal they kept in really in the last 5 seconds of the song. But otherwise, it's Chris Cornell and the Zac Brown Band doing Heavy as the Head That Wears the Crown. So when I heard Chris Cornell there in the studio, he wasn't there, but they had flown, I guess, his parts in from Seattle or wherever he might have been. It was like, man, this is killer. And so we were on our way. Everyone was completely excited about this track that we had. And to this day, when I hear it, it's just like, man, that's one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. So now let's jump out of the Jekyll and Hyde album to tell you a little bit of a story of another recording that involved Zach and that same studio, Southern Ground in Nashville. And a really good friend of Zach's named Radford Windham. And they grew up together in Dahlonega, Georgia. They were best of buds, singers together. Radford just happens to be one of the best tenor singers I've ever heard. He's got a range, kind of akin to like John Cowan, basically. Radford's harmony voice is like unequaled in sort of Southern gospel. I know he can do everything, but particularly Southern gospel thing is he's a great tenor. The point is they were good pals, Zach Brown and Radford Windham. And Zach wanted to put together a record for Radford. And so we spent a little bit of time. This is after the Jekyll and Hyde recordings, maybe 2 or 3 months later. And we kind of worked on a Radford record. And Radford knew of the song of my dad's called It's the Whiskey That Eases the Pain. I've recorded that song. My dad has recorded the song. And that, as a matter of fact, it was a duo with Guy Clark on my dad's first record called This Weary Way. So, and Zach knew about the song. As a matter of fact, Zach and ZBB had performed the song. That was in their rotation of things to do. And it's just a blues kind of fun song. Anyway, Radford wanted to do it with Zach. And we rigged it up to where Radford would get verse 1, Zach would get verse 2, and I would get verse 3, and then we'd sing together on the choruses and stuff like that. So this I'm going to play for you is from Radford's record. So this song, It's the Whiskey That Eases the Pain, written by my dad, Wayne Scott, is on Radford's album that we made, that Zach made with Radford, called Step Back Cadillac. And Radford's just the coolest cat, an amazing singer. He's a high school teacher in his town, and he does a great program with the kids, basically teaching them Americana music, how to record, publishing, and stuff. He gives them a really inside look, and he's just an amazing singer. And so I want to play this track for you. It's me and Zach Brown and Radford Windham doing my dad's song, It's the Whiskey That Eases the Pain.
It ain't love, it ain't money that makes this world turn around. When you hit rock bottom, you may not be on the ground. Let me tell you something in case you're walking with a cane. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's the whiskey that eases the pain. Well, he told Adam she had apples for sale. He bought the first one, and I bought the last one, went to hell. Let me tell you something in case you're walking with a cane. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's the whiskey that eases the pain. It ain't love, it ain't money that makes this world turn around. may not be on the ground. Let me tell you something in case you're walking with a cane. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's the whiskey that eases the pain.
Chase my troubles away. And while you're waking up tomorrow, I'll still be living today. If you need a crutch, don't try to walk with no cocaine. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's the whiskey that eases the pain. Hey, hey, hey.
It ain't love, it ain't money that makes this world turn around. When you hit rock bottom, you may not be on the ground. When you're needing a crutch, don't try walking with a cane. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's the whiskey that eases the pain. It ain't love, it ain't money, it's the whiskey that eases the pain.
Alrighty, so let's get back to the Jekyll and Hyde record. Let me say a few things about the record. I think it's a very brave and wide open kind of record. So to me, you know, when there are people making records in whatever field they're in, country, Americana, rock, jazz, whatever, when you cross into other fields of music, the categorizations, the industry has a way of making you feel like you're not supposed to do that, like you're not supposed to mix chemicals. You know, hey, how am I going to get this on country radio? How am I going to get this on pop or rock radio if you're a country act? And there's a real just categorization out there that I wish to God were not part of musicians' experiences to have to even think about. But we more than have to think about it. And it seems like the higher you are up into the food chain of the industry, the more you might think that you can't cross over into something else. And then on the other hand, the more fully artistic and expression and, hey, we're going to do things the way we want to, the more that band or artist is going to show their full colors. So to me, this Jekyll and Hyde album was the Zac Brown band showing something like their full colors. There were tracks on there that were, is it called EDM, Abe? Mm-hmm. There were EDM tracks on there, which means what?
Electric dance music.
Electric dance music. I don't listen to much of that, so I can hardly know what it is, except that it's a whole nother everything from, say, country music or rock or something. It's its own little bag. So there were some tracks on there that were EDM. There were definitely tracks that were sort of folk songs, broadened. There was a Jason Isbell song on there. On this same album, there was this big band thing that Jim Hoke had written the arrangements for. There was gospelish stuff. There was absolute rockin' in your face, Heavy as the Head. Another song called Junkyard. So the album was beautifully diverse. And I guess that's what the Jekyll and Hyde might have meant, which is, hey, there's at least two personalities here. To me, for an artist, that's the good news, not the bad news. The industry seems to look at it as, what am I supposed to do with this kind of thing? So I was really proud and still am proud of the Zac Brown band for following their sort of artistic inclination and just showing their full freak situation. And here's the reason why. The Zac Brown band is a killer band. They can play anything. Rock, blues, full country with pedal steels and fiddles, everything, a Billy Joel tune, an Allman Brothers tune, their own stuff. So they're just wide open. They're just a great band. They can handle anything. And to me, this album was them showing we can handle anything. So I was really proud to be a part of it, but also proud that these guys, and I think this was their 4th album, these guys were saying, hey, we're more than, just chicken fried or something like that. So I was all very proud of these cats. So let me tell you who these guys are. Of course, at the front of the stage, in the center of the stage, singing and writing, playing guitars and stuff is Zac Brown, of course. Coy Bowles is one of the electric players in the band. He also plays some keys and slide and stuff like that. He's just a great player. The second guitarist, and think of these two guitarists, Clay Cook on guitar. Clay doubles on piano, on B3, pedal steel, just on and on. But he's a monster guitarist. So a lot of the show and the studio stuff is those two great guitarists. Then on percussion, we have Daniel De Los Reyes, a good friend of mine, just a monster percussion of any style, and he does such a monster job with the ZBB. We have Jimmy D. Martini on, he's the tenor vocal above Zac and as the stack goes. And he plays fiddle and acoustic guitar once in a while, but he's mainly the guy you see in the fiddle. And he's the tenor above Zac, and that's kind of their sound. The other vocal sound is John Driscoll Hopkins, who plays, acoustic guitar, banjo, electric. But the main thing about Hop is his baritone vocals. He's below Zac as the stack goes. So you got Hop, you got Zac, you got Jimmy, and then up above that, you've got Clay Cook, basically being above all of that, doubling Hop's part. But an octave higher. And Clay just has a huge range vocally. And that's the great vocal sound of the ZBB. And on drums, it's just, you can't get any better than Chris Fryer on drums. And then my friend Matt Mangano, who used to play with me, like we've done dozens and dozens and dozens of gigs. And Matt is the perfect cat in this band because of his multi-style situation. And so that's ZBB. So now we run to the next song that they wanted the choir for. And basically, they played me the song, I'll Be Your Man is what it's called. And the subtitle, Song for a Daughter. And basically, they played the song for me at the studio. And I said, man, let's do that all in one room. Like instead of every other song is everyone's got their own room, there's isolation. And there are really good reasons to have isolation recordings. But this song felt like, let's not do that. Let's all be in the same room. We'll leak in together. The vocals going on at the same time, the lead vocals, the background vocals, the guitar playing, the dobro playing, all that kind of stuff, all at once in a big room in their main room at Southern Ground. And that's just the vibe I wanted. The song was asking for that. It wasn't asking for sonic perfection. It was asking for an honest rendition because it's a song about having a daughter. As Zac had, I think, at least 4 daughters. I had a daughter. There's other guys in the band who have daughters and stuff. And so it was a sentimental kind of thing. So let's be in one room and be sentimental. And so that's how we tracked this. So You'll hear what you hear musically, instrumentation wise, and vocals are all happen at the same time. Daniel De Los Reyes is in there on percussion. Everything is live. That's what I want you to know. So here's the catch. Once we did the track and we were happy with it, that's when it was like, now I need to get the choir members on that, the choral thing. That was a very tall order. And there were reasons for it. The main reason is because the arrangement was so open that it didn't have time. At the end, we don't know if we went 68 bars, if we went 71 bars, or 71.2 bars, 0.5. I mean, it was that wide open. And now with the choral thing, I felt I needed to teach these folks how are we going to sing on this thing. And so I remember when we did the choir, the whole ZBB band was in the control room, like all of them looking out at us, me being the quote leader. And then I had these great singers, I'll say their names again. I was in there in the group, Maureen Murphy, Sarah Dugas, John Cowan, Odessa Settles, Rick Jones, and Jason Eskridge. So we had a good male-female blend. We had some soulful singers. Everyone was a soulful singer. So here's what happened. I felt, there's a part at the end of the song, you're going to hear it. I felt that there needed to be some kind of witness from each singer. So yes, we're a choral group where we're all singing parts, but I had the idea of like, no, let's hear John Cowan. I saved him for last. Odessa was the first one. And Sarah sang, and we each got a solo part of, how many of us are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 singers. So there were 7 different times where I said, this is your part here. I mean, I didn't give them a part. I just said, this is when you sing and make it your own. And then, you know, the next round would come, and then now it's the next person's turn. And they would do their own vocal improvisation, making up lyric, you know, and then the next one, and then the next one. And we finished up with Cowan, I do believe. Because sometimes when Cowan sings, there's no way to follow it. He needs to be the last guy you hear. And then there were choral things. It was like, okay, we had that, and then we needed other choral, all of us singing together. And different folks of the vocal group, I said, give me something. What are we going to do here? And then someone would pop out an idea, and we'd do it and record it. And we'd need another one because we were kind of building around, like row, row, row your boat type thing. Let's come up with another, you know, counterpoint to the 2 that we now have. And we came up with another one and did that. The funny thing is, I didn't know how long this thing was. Even though I'd played on it, we weren't counting. So Matt Mangano, thank you, he literally counted out how much time we had. And it was like something weird, like an odd number and then like a half measure or something. It was weird. But he was in the control room, and he would cue me like when our final I'll Be Your Man, which you'll hear, he had to cue it because I couldn't count it because I'm singing and directing, and he pointed, and then that's when I could direct then the choral group to be there at the end. I'm telling you, it was like a marathon race, and the whole ZBB band in the control room behind the glass, and me out there with the singers in the big room, and we're spread out in a circle, each doing our solo parts, but then doing our collective parts together. It was like running a marathon. And I'd never really done that before. I've done choral stuff and arranged this, and I'm fearless on stuff, so I'll get myself involved in something that I'm probably over my head. But I guess I figure it out on my way down. It's like jumping off a cliff and figuring out how you'll land along the way. It was sort of like that. So it was really a celebration when we finished that couple of hours of working on vocals. it was really like, oh my God, look what we just did. And the proof is in the pudding at what you're going to hear here. So here is I'll Be Your Man and Song for a Daughter with ZBB, with these great singers that I brought in. And this is what we figured out as we jumped off the cliff.
You're gonna make the finest mama someday. Some man will take you away, but until then, chase down your dreams, laugh all the time and believe that love's gonna conquer all things. So until then, I'll be your man. I thought I knew love until you came into this world. Time keeps on flying, but you're always gonna be my baby girl. Life you will see the world's what you want it to be, but until then, go on and dance, dance like there's no one around, never stop singing out loud. And until then, I'll be your man. Until you came into this world, time keeps on flying, but you're always gonna be my baby girl. Go have a ball, take every chance that you make. You know I'll be one call away. I'll always be, I'll always be your man.
So there you have it. Somewhere between improvisation, singing, and worked out group singing. But what you just heard is the result. And I'm still fascinated by what we did, because I know how hard it was to get there, and I knew what a tall order it was. But there you have it. So I'm going to jump away from the Jekyll and Hyde album right now and just give you a preface for the next episode is also going to be on Zac Brown Band. Sometime after that recording, I think it was in 2014, sometime after that, Zac asked me to be kind of an opener guy for his shows in the summer type thing, the big giant things, like stadiums and football stadiums and baseball stadiums and all that kind of stuff, arenas. He wanted me to be the opening act, and I'm by myself. And then B, once Zac Brown Band came out on stage, I'm in that group playing for the next 2 or more hours. So that's what I did for 2 seasons. And a season to me is not a year. A season is like in a baseball season, they don't play 365 days. They play their a certain time. That's how I see touring. Is this Zac Brown Band? I was in their band for 2 seasons, opener, and also part of the band for the whole time. That's where we're going on episode 2 on this, because there's a really cool album that the Zac Brown Band did with their live stuff, because they do amazing things live, and they got an album together that kind of speaks to that, and I'm on 3 of those tracks, I think, maybe even another 4 or something, or a 4th one. But that's where we're going next time. And so we're wrapping up the Jekyll and Hyde for the time being, and stay tuned for more New Moon, new music. And as always, I want to thank Abraham Scott for recording this, editing this, and putting all kinds of things together about it so that you can see it and so that I can say it. And so special thanks to Abraham Scott.